Hello. It's not yet the new moon, and it's right in the middle, actually, of the last full moon and then oncoming new moon. But this is a very significant time astrologically. And starting tomorrow, August 24th, we're in aspect for the upcoming uh, both the new moon, which is a solar eclipse, and a very important aspect, which is the last of the three squares of the final squaring between the planet Saturn and Neptune. This has been happening for the past 36 years, and this is the last time before they move on. And this is a big deal. And it's an even bigger deal because the in this last time, Mars, the planet of aggression and potentially anger, certainly ego, fight or flight, and the new moon solar eclipse are both involved in this aspect in the Saturn Neptune square. So Saturn represents discipline, responsibility, life lessons. It also represents the plan. It represents the boundaries and the how we create structure in our life. And again, the responsibilities, how we move forward in a step-by-step way to realize conscious directives that we've decided upon and that we feel are important. Again, it's the teacher, and Neptune is the opposite of that. Neptune, if Saturn is restriction and discipline and boundaries, Neptune is the opposite. It's the lack of boundaries. It represents fantasy, romance, illusion, disillusionment, lies, drugs, alcohol, but also spirituality, idealism. Everything that breaks down the boundaries, hence the drugs, alcohol, and also spirituality, everything that breaks down the boundaries between us is considered Neptunian. So you can see that these two planets don't really play that well together. The actual fact of the matter is that when in somebody's chart or in the astrologically during the transits, when they're in positive aspect to each other, this is a great thing because it couldn't be better, really. It has to do with having the hard facts down to earth. This is how we're going to do things, and this is what needs to be done. In working well with idealism, with intuition, with our spirituality and higher ideals, with everything that draws us closer. However, right now they are forming a difficult aspect to each other. And Mars is in the same position as Saturn, which in itself is kind of like is an extremely unpleasant combination. It tends to make people very, very hard on themselves, to lead to a certain amount of depression or anger, but more often kind of depression. And it's a damper on everyone's energy. And at best, there's a bit of a feeling of like kind of constant push-pull, the one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake pedal. Do I go? Do I not go? And this, forming a difficult aspect to Neptune, can bring about a different things. It can create a lot of fear. That's one thing. One can feel like they just can't do anything, that they're like completely hamstrung, completely paralyzed because they don't know which way to go. Either of these two aspects, the Saturnian planning side or the Neptunian idealism side, can overwhelm. One can, or they both together can overwhelm, and you can feel completely despairing. That because Neptune can do that as well, and Saturn certainly. You can feel like you've lost all faith, all hope, that there's no point in going forward with any plan because, all plans are ultimately, that none of it goes anywhere and none of it means anything. And a kind of profound disillusionment can sink in that, hand in hand with the depression we already spoke about, is a really pretty mixture. This would be especially true for any of the mutable signs. That would be Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. You guys, watch out. It's not as much fun as you might want it to be. It can create this kind of fear in terms of health. Sometimes there's a kind of tendency towards infection, for example. There's kind of a weakness in terms of health, and some have said that the Zika virus is, that this kind of it's not exactly the plague, but that kind of dynamic is part of this aspect. The most important thing and the most difficult thing to do right now is to try to find balance. Balance is always uncomfortable anyhow. Most of us want to go to one extreme or the other. Even though we don't think we want to be depressed, it's more comfortable for us to feel that we can say, this is what it is and it's bad. Or this is what it is and it's good, than it is to hold that middle ground where things are neither good nor bad, and where things are both good and bad, and we're okay with it. We keep doing what we can do. In the face of potentially feeling paralyzed and potentially a strong desire to retreat into some kind of fantasy, your own chosen fantasy world or escapist world, in the face of the desire to either to escape somehow, or to just keep trudging with that burden, which eventually then is going to make you feel depressed. It can be very, very difficult to find a place where you allow both to be without necessarily feeling like you have to choose one, like you have to make it all right or all wrong, where you manage to stick to some aspect of the plan that you can, if not completely believe in, that you can follow with some degree of whatever, just because it needs to be done, just because it's good to be done, without questioning too much what it all means, without getting kind of lost in some airy-fairy bigger picture and not grounding it with some kind of plan. There's any of a number of pitfalls here that come with going to one extreme to the other, whether it's inaction or a kind of action that has no basis in a real solid plan, escapism, or whether it's kind of dully sticking to a plan without questioning or trying to find at least some sense of meaning in it yourself. All of these are all dangers in it, and are, for all of us, the challenge right now and through the next well, this is very, very strongly in place from right now, well, August 24th, through to approximately, well, September 2nd is when is right after the new moon. The new moon solar eclipse is September 1st. So this is a period of time where we are definitely feeling this growing trend. This aspect is also then followed by another difficult aspect. So, we've got our challenges cut out for us. And for each of us, if we can just try to have some compassion and maintain some amount of groundedness as we move forward in whatever way we can, then we'll be doing the best that we can do until we get through this. I did say before, we had a lot of retrograde planets, and there are fewer retrograde planets, so there is more movement, there is more activity, things are not hamstrung on one level, but we may feel so exhausted by all that we've been through that we kind of couldn't care less. Politically, again, there's both there's been some sort of awareness, but with this Saturn-Neptune square, there's definitely more mudflinging that comes about, and certainly the whole notion of lies and misrepresentation and supposed leaks that then prove out to be false. And I mean, there's a lot more of those kinds of shenanigans that we can expect in the coming few weeks. But the tarot card Temperance, which shows an angel, in my version of it, it shows an angel holding with one foot on the water and one foot on the land, and she's pouring from one pitcher to another, and that supposedly it's a flow of oil between one and the other. So this is representative of art, of yoga, of meditation, of finding the gap, finding that space in between. And this is a powerful spiritual practice to whether it's from two equal poles, two positive poles, two negative poles, or a positive and a negative pole, to rather than only live in one or the other, just as we have to inhale and exhale, it's the space in between where awareness resides. And we are all given the opportunity, in the face of the challenges coming, to find that space in between where awareness resides. Good luck with that. Let me know if you find it, and I'll talk to you soon.